The native of Pskov, Russia, is considered by many to be the greatest overall player in Russian hockey history. Multiple Stanley Cups, multiple international championships. Sergei Fedorov, my God, what a skater he was. He's best known for playing 13 seasons with the Red Wings in the midst of their dynasty era of the 90s. He played primarily at center, but occasionally played as a winger. He was one of the first hockey players to defect from his native Soviet Union in order to play in the NHL. Named as one of the 100 greatest NHL players in history in 2017. One of the best players, like I said, in the international game from the 90s, early 2000s. Now, inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2015 and the IIHF Hall of Fame in 2016. Two-time world champion, one-time world junior champion, Goodwill Game champion, and world championship victory in 2008 with Russia. The other titles came with the Soviet Union. Now, defection of Fedorov was a fait accompli because Detroit was looking at him highly. When he was just 16, he was already playing for CSKA Moscow in the Soviet Union with future NHL Hall of Famer Pavel Bure and Alexander McGillney on the same line. In, say, 89, he became the first Soviet superstar to defect in order to play in the NHL. Less than 2 months later, he was drafted by the Red Wings in the fourth round, 74th overall of the 89 NHL entry draft. Red Wings general manager Jimmy Delvano had consulted team captain and future Hall of Famer Steve Yzerman about Fedorov. Knowing that the two had played against each other at the Worlds, Yzerman told Delvano, "He's better than me." Now, Detroit sports writer Keith Gavey was a big factor in the defection. He was asked by the Wings executive vice president Jim Lites to pass a secret message to Fedorov at an exhibition game in Helsinki, where the Soviet national team was scheduled to play a Finnish elite-level club. Gavey agreed to the mission, and in August 89 managed to meet with Fedorov and teammate Vladimir Konstantinov, who the Wings had also drafted, and slipped the Meach and Red Wings media guide with a letter hidden inside. The letters made it clear that the Red Wings wanted both of them in Detroit and were willing to help get them there. By July 90, Fedorov had decided to defect. The Soviet national team had come to play in North America at the 1990 Goodwill Games and had scheduled an exhibition match in Portland's Memorial Coliseum on July 22, 1990. Lights came to Portland, picked up Fedorov outside his hotel after the game, and brought him to Detroit in Red Wings owner Mike Ilitch's private jet, thus leading to the change of countries. Now, Fedorov at that point was described as three great players in one. He once held the claim of the top player on the planet, and former Red Wings captain Steve Yzerman said Fedorov was the best skater he had ever seen. During the 94 season, he won the Hart, the Selke, and the Lester B. Pearson Awards, which are normally given to the MVP of the league and also best defensive player. That year, he finished second in scoring behind the Kings' Wayne Gretzky with 56 goals and 120 points. The only season he scored more than 50. Now, during the 94 season, being interviewed before his game, Gretzky was talking about a December 17 contest between the Red Wings and the Rangers, saying that he never seen a player dominate the game the way Sergei did. Later in the season, Gretzky also commented that he thought Fedorov was the best player in the game at this point. He was eventually introduced to Gretzky by Paul Coffey during the 94 NHL All-Star Game, which led him to staying over at his LA home with his family for 2 weeks that year. Now, we're talking about the overall stats, and don't tell the whole picture, but consistently 30 to 40 goals a season. From 91 to 04, between Detroit and the Mighty Ducks, 31, 32, 34, 56, 20, season shortened, 39, 60, 6 goals in 21 games, 26, 27, 32, 31, 36, and 31. A strong, like I said, postseason player. Now, he played for Soviet Union from 87 to 91, an official changeover to Russia. He played at the World Juniors for 3 straight campaigns, the World Championships for Soviet Union 89-90, Canada Cup in 91, the World Cup of Hockey 96 for Russia, back-to-back Olympics in 98-02 and 2010, and the World Championship for Russia in 08 and 10. And the medals on his shelf tells a lot more. Scored 41 See, when I saw Fedorov play at the first, Detroit was still a couple of years away from their dynasty run. But when they got the other hands, including Brett Hull and Shanahan and everybody else, you could stop Yzerman, but you couldn't stop Fedorov. And you would have scored a lot more goals. Let's say if Yzerman was no longer with Detroit, he could have scored 70 goals. But he was more a good defensive player, good playmaker. And the goals he scored was equaled by the goals he saved. I think in his whole career, ladies and gentlemen, he was rarely, very rarely on the minus level. Would always be there for his teammates. And it's kind of weird how it goes. I look at that, like the mid 90s Detroit teams, 96 to 98, of course. In those campaigns, he was averaging a point a game in the playoffs. And like, give an example, 96, he led the playoff scores and assists in 95 and 96, and led in goals in 98. So, I mean, like I said, he was all over the place. Never played in the Stanley Cup playoffs with Anaheim or Columbus. He seemed kind of lost there, but he was just playing out his string, as we like to say. So, ladies and gentlemen, how good was Sergei Fedorov? Well, he's a top 100 player of all time. Probably a stretch to say he's top 50, because obviously there's been great Russian players just as good as him. But Mogilny, Bure, Fedorov, it's like three beautiful women, one redhead, a blonde, and a brunette, walk into the bar, and they're gorgeous. They got money, you got personality. Who do you dance with first? Well, you got to give attention to all three, because that line that they broke up in Russia, if they would have stayed together, there's no Canadian or American or European team, Finland, Sweden, Czechoslovakia, whatever, would have bet the Russians. It just like the KLM line was good enough, and the old Russian lines from the 72 and 74 Summit Series era. But my God, and I got a chance to cover all three in the league, and we didn't know exactly how far Detroit was going to go when he arrived. I never think it would be 3 cups just by him. Mogilny rebuilt Buffalo. There were Stanley Cup contenders at the time he was there. And Bure, obviously in Vancouver, relaunched that franchise to a level where everybody took it seriously, where in the past he didn't take it seriously. So the big three, as I call them, my God, what a benefit to have a memory of those 3 great players. And every Russian player, or what they call Eastern European player, looks up to all 3, and you should. Maybe their machinations or off-ice things weren't the best, but they did it on the ice, ladies and gentlemen. Tremendous players, all 3. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing with our Russian and Soviet Union player vintage podcast, let us know with a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening. Bye.